Good afternoon. How is everyone? My name is Chris Weber. I'm responsible for our commercial customer segment at Microsoft, which essentially means we look at every customer from the small business down the road to our largest global accounts and everything in between. One of the best parts of my job is actually getting to talk to customers and partners and learning about the innovative things they're doing in their business to digitally transform their business. And so what I want to do today is share some of those examples and I think inspire you with what some of the work our customers and partners are doing. Before I do that, is it a little bit hot in here? Would I get some bonus points if everybody just stood up for 10 or 15 seconds, just get some air? I was sitting there earlier and it was very painful, but when I got to stand up it was a little bit more, so we'll just let everyone stand up. Now, being from Seattle, we just had the rainiest winter, I think, in our history, so I will take this heat any day versus that. All right. So I want to talk about what customers are doing with our technology to transform their business. I talked about. First thing I want to do is thank Apttus. Really for being here and the partnership that we have, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, because it's great to be here, not only because of the strategic relationship we have with Apttus, but when I looked at the list of customers that are doing business with Apttus, most of you are customers with Microsoft, so it's great to have you here. In terms of the Apttus partnership, I was telling some customers earlier in some of our meetings, this isn't a partnership where we just put our logos on a piece of paper and say, hey, we're working together. This is actually a really deep partnership from everything we're doing on the engineering side. And how did you like that digital agent that they showed up there in terms of the quoting process? That was fantastic. Yeah. In fact, I told Kirk, even though I don't work for Apttus, I want to be able to demo that in front of every customer I see, because basically that's using all our cognitive services and our Azure cloud service to put that together. And I think it's the best implementation that I've seen in terms of really focusing on customer value. The second thing is we have a really strong sales and marketing partnership with Apttus. But the thing that I think sets them apart than many of the partners we deal with is their maniacal focus on the user experience. I talked to Kirk about 2 weeks ago when we were getting ready for this, and I said to him, you know, you had a lot of cloud providers so you could pick to build your products on. Why did you pick Microsoft? And he basically said, look, in the cloud world, a lot of them could do the basic compute, the infrastructure, those type things. But the reason he picked Microsoft was he wanted to be able to do things that would create new and differentiating experiences for the user. So the cognitive services, the artificial intelligence, the things you see in that agent really is a manifestation of some of the services that we provide in our cloud products. And it's a great example, I think, of Apttus really focusing on the end user experience and bringing that to life. The other thing in terms of the partnership is we're betting on Apttus internally. So we just stood up and rolled out the contract management part of the Apttus suite. This is coming from our legal team, and everything I've heard, we're live, going well, and the implementation has been quite good. So the partnership's deep on the technical side. We're actually implementing their products, and then from a sales and marketing side, we're really excited about the solutions they've built on top of our products and technologies. Before I talk about some of the examples that our customers are doing around our technology, I thought I'd just talk about this world of the cloud, because I think we don't give that enough time in terms of some of the dynamics that are happening in the industry today. And these statements I'll talk about, it's whether it's the Microsoft cloud or whether our competitors. What I would say for customers, it's a great time for customers to be in the cloud. And what I mean by that is there's three real big shifts that are happening. The first one is risk. And what I think happens in this cloud world is the risk dramatically shifts from customer to supplier. Supplier being Apttus, supplier being Microsoft, et cetera. If you think about historical IT purchases, normally what happened is vendors like ourselves and others would sell you on an amazing vision. And before you got to experience one iota of value in that vision, you had to acquire data center hardware, buy the software and applications, and probably sign some type of systems integration contract to get it deployed. That was all before you got any value. Whether the vision was realized or not. In the cloud world, that dramatically changes. Because by the way, in that old model, the risk falls mostly on the customer. In this cloud world, it dramatically shifts. So you don't have to invest in the hardware, the compute cycles. You don't buy the software all up front. You do it from a consumption basis, what I'll talk about in a minute. We're spending billions of dollars a year at Microsoft building out these data centers worldwide to bring super low-cost compute cycles for our customers. So it dramatically changes the risk profile from customer to vendor and supplier, and at minimum, I think the risk is in balance. The second thing is this cloud world really shifts from being a heavy CapEx environment to more of an OpEx. And I think we'll go through some growing pains there in terms of the way budgets are structured. But long term, I think having this OpEx versus CapEx is actually advantageous for our customers. And then the last one is this concept around consumption economics. And the key with this cloud world is you're only paying where you're seeing value. Again, where you see value, you'll continue to pay, almost in microtransactions versus everything up front. And where you don't see value, and if you get failure, you stop paying for that. And so I think, again, it brings great balance between supplier and customer, and at the end of the day, it makes suppliers like Microsoft and others earn your business every day. And so I think those dynamics and fundamentals on the cloud are really advantageous at this point for customers, so it's a great time to be in the cloud. This digital transformation theme, I'm sure every supplier and customer or vendor talks to you about it. It's probably an overused word. I want to just sort of give you our implementation of it and the conversations we're having with customers. On the left-hand side, there's really three big areas that Microsoft is investing all our R&D. The first one is around this ambition called Create More Personal Computing. And this is really around hardware and software around Windows and creating magical experiences. I don't know if you saw yesterday, we announced the Surface laptop, our first laptop. We're not in this for hardware's sake alone. We want to look and see where we can take Windows, we can take premium hardware and software like Office and other things and bring it together in new categories of hardware that create these magical experiences. And what I would say is Microsoft's ambition is quite big in this arena. The second one is around reinventing business productivity and processes. Productivity and business processes. This is really around the Office 365 set of products. What we see is a huge opportunity not only to make employees more productive with the collaboration suite, but how do we think around things with data and analytics? When you talk about artificial intelligence, it's really taking that data and reasoning it and building on top of that. How do we think about PBX in the cloud around voice and video collaboration? How do we think about taking our Office 365 set of products and integrating those core collaboration products into our CRM suite? And so we think there's huge opportunity there to create a more integrated experience for our customers, so we're investing big there. And then the third one is this intelligent cloud around Azure. And if you think about Azure, it's our cloud platform that provides a lot of services from infrastructure as a service, our basic compute, platform as a service where you can build your applications, and then software as a service where you take applications such as Apttus, run it in the cloud, and then extend it with services like you saw that they did with our cognitive services and other products. On the digital transformation, I'd like to tell you, hey, we have 4 conversations with customers, but the reality is our customers have 4 conversations with us. And they're grounded in these. One, every customer we talk to, they want to engage with their customers in a new and different way. And so they're asking for help in terms of how they do that. So that's an outcome that we talk to our customers about. The second one is, how can customers create new and innovative products and bring those to market? I think that's top of mind for every customer. The third one is really around empowering employees and making them more productive. But the second piece around that's really not on there that we see a huge trend is companies need to create a modern-day collaboration and productivity suite to attract and retain the workforce of the future. Because quite honestly, these workforce of the future, the millennials, et cetera, coming into corporate accounts, they're experiencing a worse environment in the company than they have in their personal life for the first time. And so companies are really looking at this as how do we create differentiation, not only making them more productive, but attracting and retaining employees. And then the fourth one is basically around how do we take out costs, operational efficiency. There's not a company on the planet that we don't talk about and want to take costs out of their business. So these 4 outcomes are what we're focused on with customers, and we'll give you some examples of customers using our technology to achieve these outcomes. Real quickly on Azure, I don't want to go through this in depth, but this is our cloud platform. I think there's 4 big differentiators that we have here. The first one is the platform is built on trust, and I put trust around security, availability, privacy, and transparency. At the end of the day, if we haven't earned that, that's the foundation really to do business with a customer. We're working very hard in this area, and we think this is an area of differentiation in terms of how we're applying it to the technology. The second one is app innovation, and I think Kirk's example of this digital agent with Max is a perfect example of it. It's why Kirk is betting on the Microsoft platform, because he wants to do new and differentiated experiences that he can differentiate his solutions and applications to you as customers and users. The third one is hybrid. The model that we have today says not everything will be in the cloud, but we have to give you a common model. Application layer, security layer, management layer that's common from public cloud to on-prem. You shouldn't have to have 2 different models. We're differentiated in this area. And then the fourth one is data-driven intelligence. When you think about all the data, whether it's from IoT or the applications that are coming in, the richness of what people can do, putting artificial intelligence, machine learning on top of it, it's amazing, and this is a huge opportunity, I think, for customers, and we're investing significantly in it. So now let me talk about a couple customers in terms of how they're using this technology to reinvent their business on their journey in digital transformation. The first one is a company called Headwater. First of all, is anybody familiar with this robot called Pepper from SoftBank? So it's out of Japan. Pepper is an amazing robot here, but this company called Headwater, so what Pepper is, it's a robot that SoftBank built, but the back end is all powered by Azure, our cloud services. What Headwater is doing is building a set of services into Pepper using Azure to create new experiences for customers. And the example, and this is what, the reason I love this is it's a very small company. It's a ramen restaurant in Japan. And as you know, in Japan, ramen restaurants are a dime a dozen. But there's a restaurant in Japan who's taken Pepper the robot, our cognitive services on the back end, and when you come into the restaurant for the first time, Pepper will greet you and ask, can I take a picture of you? And if you do, they'll ask for some information. If you give them the information, every time you come into that restaurant, Pepper will greet you, because they use our facial recognition APIs. So it will greet you, but not only do that, it has your transaction history, and it'll say, based on your eating preferences, here's some new menu items or specials that we have today or this week to try. I love this example. By the way, there's a video on the web. I was going to show it. It's all in Japanese, so you probably wouldn't understand it. But it's very creative, and you start to think about all these cloud services. We think about the largest of enterprises. This is a small restaurant in Japan differentiating their customer experience using this robot and the cognitive services in Azure. The second one, has anybody heard of ThyssenKrupp? So there's a few elevator companies in the world. ThyssenKrupp is one of them. So we work with ThyssenKrupp on a couple different things, but the first thing is these elevators are complex. Lots of data in there, lots of sensors. But basically the challenge that they had is when an elevator breaks, it's too late. They have to get out there. It causes huge customer consternation and issues when it breaks. So basically what they did is outfitted their elevators with a set of sensors. Those sensors use our IoT services in Azure and takes all that data real-time into Azure. They apply machine learning on it and basically are building a new predictive maintenance service to go to their customers. Because the goal on this is get to the elevator before the elevator breaks, not after it. And so they have that capability with both the Azure IoT services and then the business intelligence that they're building on top of it. The other cool thing that they're doing here, how many people have seen HoloLens? So quite a bit. HoloLens is our mixed reality product. Essentially, what I call it is it's a Windows 10 helmet on your head, maybe a little prettier than a helmet, but basically you have a set of glasses that you can see your physical world, but it mixes in the virtual world. And it's basically a Windows 10 PC. It's not tethered to anything, it's its own PC. But what ThyssenKrupp has done, one of the challenges they have is when a mechanic goes out to work on the elevator, they don't have all the answers. And so they have to call back into corporate to understand or to relay the things that are happening. What they're using, I think you can see it here, is the mechanics now when they go out to the elevator are wearing HoloLens. When they're looking at the elevator and the different sensors that are on there, that's transmitted live back to HQ, and someone is seeing that, they're actually able to write on it for that person to see in their glasses what they're supposed to fix and how they're supposed to fix it. Also, when they're looking at the elevator, they can call up the user manual if they needed to understand things there, et cetera. And so Tyson is doing some very interesting things in terms of creating a new business model around proactive maintenance. But the second thing is using HoloLens in a way to make their mechanics who are working on these elevators super efficient. We're seeing a lot of momentum in this with HoloLens in the commercial space. The third one is Uber. How many people came here from Uber today? See a few hands. The challenge that Uber had is when they hire a driver, they do a background check on the driver. Do a background check, they take photos, etc. So that works on date of hire, but they had to have a system, a secure system, that validated periodically the driver in the car is the driver who says they're in the car. So they came to us, proposed the problem. What we did is use our facial recognition APIs again, where on the Uber app for employees, they periodically, when they log into that app, it asks to take a picture, and it will take that picture using the back-end cloud services, and it will check to verify that that driver is who they say they are, to make sure the passengers are always in a safe environment. So it's an incredible way to, one, improve the security of what they're offering to their customers in a very innovative way with the technology. We have a quick video, so we can just run that to show you what they're doing there.
We come to work every day to pilot, test, and launch new technology solutions. RealTime ID Check is the latest technology example where we at Uber are constantly developing and testing new solutions to predict, prevent, and reduce security risks in ways that weren't possible before. It's through this partnership with Microsoft that we've been able to develop this technology quickly and ensure that every rider and every driver has an excellent experience. RealTime ID Check is a prompt that appears in the driver's app asking them to take a self-photo. We can do a check in real time to make sure that that identity of the person who took the picture matches the account holder who's been approved to drive. Doing that serves a couple of purposes. Drivers know that their identities and their accounts are being protected, and riders know that the driver who they're with has been screened.
Jen?
Evan?
Yeah.
RealTime ID is a smart technology. What that means is it factors in and addresses the edge cases. The situation where the driver is wearing glasses or a hat and they weren't in the identification that we have on file. The beautiful thing is it can recognize these changes and ask the driver to remove their sunglasses or retake the photo. The partnership with Microsoft Cognitive Services allowed us to go from idea to execution to implementation across the country in a matter of months. Already, we've been able to make thousands of rides safer, and very soon we're going to be making millions of rides safer through this technology.
We have thousands of examples where customers are using this in a way to do innovative things. I'll just give you another example. There's a trucking company that basically is trying to improve driver safety as they drive across the US. And what they've done is mounted cameras in their trucks. And it basically, through live video, it's looking at that driver. One, it's checking if they have a cell phone, so if you put your hand up to your ear, it would automatically set some alarms. If they notice the driver is dozing off, it sets off alarms. If they notice the driver is distracted, etc. All in the spirit of improving driver safety. The beauty is these cloud services are easy to get started and build these things, and they have dramatic effect on the business. One that we use internally is a virtual support agent. I told Kirk backstage, I'm sort of hesitant, I'm going to do a demo of this one, but based on his agent, which had, Max seems much more intelligent than this one in terms of the depth that Max has. But this just gives you a different business situation in terms of how to apply this. But the challenge we had at Microsoft is we have 1.5 billion users of Windows across the globe. everything from Windows 7 to Windows XP. I'm sure we have some Windows Vista users out there, and obviously about 500 million Windows 10 users. The challenge is, as you can imagine, with 1.5 billion users, we have quite a high degree of support calls that come in, which obviously is very time-consuming, very costly, and it prevents us from focusing our most productive resources on the hardest problems. So what we did is took the data that was coming in and basically reasoned it to figure out what are the top things that people are calling in for, and we built an agent similar to what you saw the Apttus folks do to address the core Windows problems. This one we've been running live for a few months now. I'll show you a demo of it, but just to give you an example, as you can imagine, 1.5 billion users, the number of calls we come in, it's tens of millions of dollars of cost. We're seeing a significant reduction in the call volume around Windows issues that are coming in because of this very simple chatbot. The good news is as we build this agent, we've taken, I think, around the top 10 issues that come up, but this gets smarter every day. We'll take the next 10 and keep building on it and build more and more logic in here where, one, it's a delightful experience for the user, but it also allows us to take and reinvest our resources in those problems that are harder to solve. So I want to give you a quick demo of that. So basically, this is the support site off of Microsoft.com, support.microsoft.com. And basically what I'll do is just say, I want to contact, or hit contact us, and what you'll see here is the agent will come up and basically say, need assistance. And so we'll do a couple different scenarios here, so I'll say, get started. And the first one I'm going to just do is ask them, how would I get Windows 10? Because I'm sure everyone's going to run out of here and say, I want Windows 10, so as a sales guy, I'll assume that. So we'll say, how do I get Windows 10? And then what you'll see is, just like you saw in the virtual assistant that Apttus did, it'll come back and say, here's what I think you're asking. How to get Windows 10 Creators Update, is that correct? I'm going to say yes on that one. It'll take that as an input, and then it'll come back and give me a set of things that I can do in terms of where I can install it or where I can buy it. And what's interesting on here, you can see here where it says, here's the download website. If I went to that website, it basically would, in the same chatbot window, if I didn't own Windows 10, it would give me the ability to buy it right within there. So again, it doesn't go to a separate application. So now we're taking a support environment where it's trying to solve problems, but I said I'm trying to get Windows 10. It actually brings you in where you could transact the business. So not just constrained to the support there. The second one that I'll do is we have this thing called Windows Update. So I'll say, Windows Update won't work. It's probably not the best example for me to give because we think it always works, but we'll just pretend in case it doesn't what happens. So it says, what version of Windows are you running? In terms of what's not working, we'll say Windows 10. What you'll see is it'll come up with some diagnostics in terms of what to do, but in this case, it basically says, hey, we have a troubleshooter to help you with that. If I clicked on that link, basically what you'll see, it'll launch. It'll ask me if I want to download some software, which is the troubleshooter. I won't do that. But again, as you can see, this simple agent not only deciphers what I'm trying to ask, but then gives us solutions to solve it from a technology perspective. So I showed one where it actually would allow me to transact the software in the window. The second one is actually going out and downloading the software. The third one is more of a common problem, and I'm just going to say my printer won't work. Now, I'm thinking my printer won't print. I'm thinking we're not going to be able to answer all the questions if it just doesn't print. We're going to have to figure out, is this thing connected to a Windows machine? And so when I say my printer won't work, basically it says, here's what I think you're asking me. Using a printer with Windows, say yes. Obviously, if we said no, we're probably not going to be the best printer support hotline that's out there. And it'll come back and give me a number of things to do. Again, I could run a troubleshooter. If I clicked on that, it would allow me to download the code and walk me through that. Again, this is a very simple example where we've implemented this at Microsoft, but it's reducing our call volume significantly, and it's getting smarter and smarter as it goes, and allowing us to reinvest in those problems that are harder to solve. And it's also quite a delightful experience. The reason I bring this up, you saw a very advanced one that Kirk did. This is a more simple one. Both of them have tremendous business value. and they're not that difficult to set up. As a sales guy, I don't want to say easy because that probably sounds totally salesy, but these things are very easy to set up, even if it's the top 3 issues that you have, and then add the next couple, but they have dramatic results to the business overall. So again, what I hoped I showed you today is a number of customers who are using our technologies, our cloud platform, to really reinvent their business around this digital transformation journey, and hopefully inspired you to go look at it and see how it can help you in your business. Our mission at Microsoft is to empower every individual in business around the planet to achieve more. So on behalf of the 100,000 plus Microsoft employees coming to work every day to make that vision real for our customers, thank you and have a great day.